Hello, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to this myofascial release practice focused on your feet and ankles. All you will need for this practice is a therapy ball or myofascial release ball. These are about the size of a tennis ball and they have a little bit of a grip to them, so they make them a little bit easier to control. And they also grip onto the skin or your clothing and help you get a little deeper into the tissue. But if you don't have one of these, that's okay. A tennis ball is about the same size and has the same amount of kind of texture grip, so you can use a tennis ball instead. Another thing that might be really helpful for this practice is a chair if your balance is a little bit unsteady, because we will be up on our toes and heels with this underneath our foot. So a wall, a countertop, or a chair would be really helpful. And for our ankles, a rolled up blanket or a rolled up beach towel or towel will work for this practice as well. So we're going to start standing. We're going to take that myofascial release ball or tennis ball underneath the heel. So if you're standing on like a high heel almost. And putting a little bit of your weight here and kind of sinking into it, feeling where you are. If you don't need the chair, you don't need the chair, but it feels kind of good sometimes to just have it there just in case. And we're just going to start with sort of scrubbing back and forth. So we're going in and out. So out to the outside edge, into the inside edge, and back and forth. You can put a little bit more weight sometimes if you have a chair nearby, because then you don't have to worry about your balance. And then moving in a little bit further to right where the arch starts to form from your heel, back and forth. So each one of these spaces, if you find a little bit tender, maybe stay a little bit longer, 30 to 60 seconds on each space or so. And we're scrubbing across the natural ligaments and muscles of the feet. This can feel really good if you're on your feet all the time, or if you wear shoes like high heels or shoes that have a little bit of a lift to them, kind of ironing out the feet. Shifting a little bit more so that the arch of the center of the arch of the foot, taking your chair with you if you need to. This might be quite a bit more tender. So we're right in the center of the arch, scrubbing back and forth. So 3 ligaments that run sort of as like a little hammock to lift up into your arch here. And by going all the way to the inside edge and the outside edge, you're hitting all 3 of those across. This is a little bit more tender, maybe finding a spot, shifting your weight onto that side and kind of hanging out there for a little while. And then trying movement again whenever you feel ready. Here again, shifting forward a little bit more. That ball's moving forward, your toes are moving back. Coming up to where the arch runs into the front of your foot as well. So maybe here is also a little bit of a sore spot for you. Scrubbing inside and out to start. I never notice how sore my feet are until I do this, and then afterwards my feet feel so happy and nice. So we're right at the base of the ball of our foot where it meets with the arch. Here again, you find a spot. Maybe you want to kind of hang out there a little bit more and shift your weight to straighten out your leg. You may feel this all the way up into your hips, up into your back. Our feet are attached, right? And then taking that ball and moving it forward, your heel comes down to the floor because we've had our heel up all along. And now we're going to scrub across the ball of the foot with the heel down. This can feel really good for tired feet. Back and forth scrubbing. Here again, if you want to, shifting a little bit more weight so that you have more weight there. Finding a space that may be a little bit more sore. Maybe you have a previous injury to a certain part of your foot, or one of your toes has been broken. Sometimes the ligaments tend to get a little bit sticky there. You can focus on that space. And then curl your toes and wrap it around the ball and just really hang on to the ball and let go. So now we're going to go back and forth with a little bit of a circling. So circle the ball of the foot. You can take the heel off the ground here for this because it's kind of hard to keep your heel down and circle. Circle clockwise and then counterclockwise. And then moving to the arch of your foot, clockwise and counterclockwise. Take a few breaths for each one of these. If you find one feels particularly helpful, just keep doing that for a little bit longer. And then moving to the heel of the foot. Might be a little harder to control, right? Making little circles here, left and right. And then we're going to go all the way from what I call stem to stern, which is toes to heels. So we have our heel down already here, and we're going to turn the foot a little bit inward and the knee a little bit inward because we're going to hit that inner ligament. So rolling to the inside edge, back and forth, all the way from the heel of the foot to the ball of the foot. This is where the chair often comes in handy. And then shifting, going from the heel to the ball of the foot right down the center. Now this may feel really sore. I've never found a time where it didn't feel a little bit sore, but we're on our feet a lot, so maybe that accounts for a lot of it. And then tilting the knee out a little bit and the foot in so that you can get that outer edge too. We often call that the spine of the foot, all the way from heel to the ball of the foot. Back again to the center and to the inside, and a couple more times right down all the way through those 3 ligaments. Little arch care here. Resting your foot, noticing how you feel. You're probably really glad to be done with that foot. Starting with our second side, so up on the heel, starting with our high heel here, scrubbing back and forth, toes down. I like to spread my toes really wide too because this is a great chance to really get deep into those spaces. Maybe shifting your weight, press into your heel, and then shifting it so that you have closer to where that space is where the heel and the arch come together. Because our arch has to really work hard, sometimes this can be a sore spot. So inside and out, noticing what you notice. And if you find there are spaces that tend to have more tension in them, those might be spaces you might want to spend a little bit more time on or do like little short sessions with. Moving to the center where the arch is, maybe running back and forth. Here you can keep the heel down and just kind of wiggle back and forth, or you can just run it back and forth with the heel and the toes up. Remembering to breathe. And then moving up to that space right where the arch comes into the ball of your foot. At any time you can press into it, find that point and just kind of hang out there for a few breaths. Sort of an acupressure point there. And then to the ball of your foot. So back and forth across the ball of the foot right next to the toes. Maybe your heel comes down. It's a little bit easier to control if your heel is down, because you can go back and forth and you can really put a lot of pressure in that ball and into your foot. And then reaching your toes, curling around that ball and hanging on. And then letting go. Here again, we're going to do little circles starting at the front. So maybe circling a little bit with the heel and toes off the floor to the ball of the foot. Circling one direction and then the other. It doesn't have to be a lot of weight here. We're just kind of ironing out a little bit of those spaces. And then to the center of the arch. switching directions, making bigger circles. The arch is a little bit bigger, and I like to cover a little bit more space there. And then the heel. Circling both directions. And then taking from the heel to the toes. Again, you're going to tilt your knee in, toes in, big toe in, and run from that inner spine all the way from the heel to that big toe. Maybe putting a little bit of weight on it. You might find this foot is a little bit easier to do, not quite as intense a rollout. PJ disagrees. And then moving down the center line all the way from the heel to those middle toes. This is probably my favorite space to roll. Feels like you're getting a really good foot massage. And then that outside spine. So tilting the knee out, coming to the pinky side, rolling back and forth from heel to little toe. And you'll feel kind of like a little bit of a grippiness there. Those are those ligaments that are lifting up and giving you that sort of springiness, almost like your shock absorbers. Running back down the center, inner, center, and outer. Just a couple more times up and down each one. Now, if your arch has collapsed or is beginning to collapse, or you have some kind of really deep tension in the tissue here, I would do this every day or as often as you can. If you're on your feet a lot, this is also a great practice to use for when you're on your feet. You just take a few minutes to roll out your feet and give them a little love, right? Done with that foot, and we're done with our tennis ball or myofascial release ball. So for our ankles, we're going to use that roll, and maybe you unroll it just a little bit. You're going to turn around and take your ankles over your roll for a little ankle stretch here. So settling back on it, sitting back on your heels. If you don't want as much acupressure there, you can roll this out a little bit more or down a little bit more, or you may even be able to come all the way back with your feet flat on the floor for a deeper stretch. But I do like to have a little bit of the roll here of the blanket to give you a little bit of pressure into the ankles. Stretching out the ankles here again, spending 30 to 60 seconds. And then coming off, taking that same roll on the back side of your ankles and sitting on it. So you're going to be sitting, the roll is going to be between your hips and your ankles for a little compression on the back where the Achilles tendon is. Once again, this roll can be bigger or smaller. If you need a little bit more and your towel isn't thick enough, do a couple of towels wrapped together. Stay here as long as you feel you need to. If you feel done, you can take that out. Sit down for a moment. Just notice how your ankles and feet feel. Circle them around, shake them out a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice to roll out the feet and ankles, give them a little myofascial release. Great space to really affect your entire body. A lot of pain higher up, tension headaches, neck pain, hip pain, lower back pain, all probably stem really early on from something happening with the feet and the ankles. So all of this is our contact with the earth, and all that's fed back up to the rest of the body. So caring for your feet and ankles can do a lot to relieve and prevent a lot of pain further up in the body. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great week.